While I am getting my presentation ready, please make sure you've got some pen and paper with you. Okay. You need to not just be making notes, you're going to write some stuff down. Great. Okay, guys, I'm going to get started immediately because there's so much to get to today. I'm super excited. I really like this topic. So I'm keen to get started with it, but also there's a lot to get through. And first off, let's just go through the intro, where we are. We're answering the question, who am I? Who am I? How, is a question of identity. However, it is answered by answering actually three other questions. Where do I come from? Why am I here? Where am I going? And what is right? Wait, what is right and wrong? Okay, those are the questions. All of us would have unique answers to all of these things, and that uniquely make up what is my purpose, what is my passion, and what is my potential. Today we're going to, in this term, we're looking at where am I going, my destiny. We're specifically going to focus today on my potential. What am I capable of doing? Okay, so that's how that adds to this question, who am I? I asked the question, this was our first session. I think we've done 3 sessions now. The first question is, why do you study? And again, just to emphasize, the whole point of that is that you don't study to get a qualification. You don't study to open doors for you. You study because you want to become someone. It's about becoming someone or something, or however you look at it, and you study in order to become that. It makes up part of who you are and what you become. I asked you guys in the first time that to think of yourself in 5 years' time and write a 15-minute paragraph about everything you see yourself in 5 years' time, someone that you think of as a success. You see yourself successful in 5 years. Obviously, it doesn't mean you are ready to retire necessarily, but what would you think of yourself if you are successful in 5 years? And the whole point was that we start thinking about the idea of success. We also looked at who is successful, who are the people we think are successful, and all of this illustrates for us what do we think of when we think of success, how we define success. We are approaching this from the perspective of someone that believes in God. You might not necessarily believe in God, but if you believe in God, then in other words, your first question where you ask, who am I? And your first question is, okay, where do I come from? If you believe I'm made by God, then obviously God has a plan for your life. He made you for a purpose. And success would mean to become everything that God has intended you to be. Okay, that would be the purest definition of success for someone that starts from a let's say what's the word? Theistic, there's the word. Theistic. Theistic means you believe in God. From a theistic perspective, is that success would mean to become everything God has intended me to be. A little bit more general definition that most people agree upon, whether or not you believe in God or not, is that success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. So someone that believes in God, their worthy ideal might be defined different than someone that doesn't believe in God. But success in either case is the realization, the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. So an ideal, that's what we focused on for the last two sessions, is to write down some goals in our life. What are the things that we want to achieve in our lives? We'll look at that just now. But not just any ideals, okay, like becoming a millionaire might be an ideal, but it should be a worthy ideal, something that is worth living for and worth dying for. And then progressively realized means that it is not something that's true today or even maybe tomorrow. It's something that unfolds as I'm growing more and more into achieving these great expectations that I have for my life. And that is success, is progressive realization. So in other words, every single day I can be successful as I'm growing closer and closer to this worthy ideal I want to achieve in life. Okay. Then we set some goals for ourselves. In other words, choosing these worthy ideals. This was very important for me. I think of it almost every day, is this point that people that write down their goals are more likely to achieve them, much more, almost 100% more likely to achieve their goals than people that don't write down their goals. So one of the best things you can do for your life, for your future, for your destiny, for your potential, is to write down the things that you want to pursue in life, to set your goals and have it written down somewhere. And there were three reasons why. One is it's an external storage device. In other words, it's not dependent on your brain remembering. So when you write it down, it's externally stored. You can go, like yesterday, I read back through a journal entry I did 2 years ago. And that day became so clear in my mind because I read what I wrote down 2 years ago. I would have never thought of that day again, but because it was written down, there's external storage. The same goes for your goals. You might forget some of your goals, but when you write it down, it's always accessible outside your mind. The second thing is it helps you to remember them. Okay, by writing things down, there's a different part of your brain that is activated, and it's better to store it in the long-term memory. And the third thing is just research shows writing it down, better chance of achieving your goals. We talk about SMART goals. In other words, that your goals shouldn't just be, and I want to actually just mention some things on some of the goals that people mentioned last week. I thought about it because I also worked through some of my goals. Look through your goals again and just ask yourself, is this something I can do tomorrow? Okay, so remember, I don't want to put people on the spot, but if you can do it tomorrow, it's not a goal. We'll get to that next week when we're going to talk about decisions. But if you, for example, if one of your goals is to spend more time praying or reading your Bible or just reading books or whatever it is, if that's something you can do tomorrow, then just do it. Like, don't, if it's something you really want to do, just do it. It doesn't have to be a goal. So a goal is something that is outside of your reach. It is something that you must strive towards and progressively realize. So for example, instead of saying, I want to read more books, say, I want to have read 50 books. Okay, put a number to it. So this is what we call SMART goals. SMART goals are specific. For example, I was doing this with my kids on last week, Friday, for them to write down their goals. Noah, my son, my eldest son, is quite good at soccer. He loves soccer. And he wrote down, I want to be a good soccer player. That's not specific enough. Define what a good soccer player is. Eventually, it came down, he wants to be able to do a bicycle kick in soccer. Okay, that's brilliant. It's a SMART goal because it is specific. You can measure it, whether or not you can do it, how high you can jump, whether you can do a backflip, all those kind of, you can measure it. It's achievable. If one person can do it, surely almost all people should be able to do it. It's relevant to what is meaningful to him, and it's time bound. He wants to be able to do it in a year. So that's SMART goals that are beyond your reach. In other words, it's not necessarily something you can do tomorrow. It's something you can work towards, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Very important for your goals to be SMART. You wrote down some life goals. That was in our second session. Then last week, we wrote down some 10 short-term goals. So these short-term goals, you had to write it in present tense. So they had to be personal. So something like, I am earning 10,000 Rand a month. I think one person, yes. So that is personal. I, positive. In other words, you're not saying I do not. You're saying I do, or you put your statement in positive, and in the present tense. So I am, or I, whatever the sentence is. It's not I will, or I shall, or I have, but in the present tense. Those are three more things that make goals relevant. It makes it personal. It makes it exciting. Then you had to choose one of those goals. Which one of those goals you had to circle? Which one of them would make the biggest impact in your life? And we looked at. We did do this, ne? No, we did do this. We looked at two problems with goal setting. One problem is people always underestimate how much effort it's going to take. Secondly, they almost always underestimate their potential. And so we looked into that. Multiply whatever effort you think it's going to take, multiply it by 10. So if you think you're going to need to spend 2 hours on this a day, multiply it with 10. You're going to need to spend 20 hours a day on it. What depends on what it is. Then you realize, shucks, I don't have 20 hours in the day. I better work smarter, more realistic, more. I need to cut out some things in my life that is wasting my time. So multiply the effort that you think it's going to take with 10. Whatever you're attempting to achieve. Let's say you said, I want to read 5 books over the next year. Then multiply it by 10, make it 50 books, because you're underestimating your potential. If you think, I want to be earning 10,000 Rand a month, I want to start a small business and I want to earn 10,000 Rand a month, multiply it with 10. Say, I want to try and earn 100,000 Rand a month. I am earning 100,000 Rand a month. So take your goals and multiply them by 10. And that way you are closer to your actual potential. And that's what we're going to talk about today is your unlocking your potential. Okay. Massive effort was last week's focus. It's going to take massive effort to achieve your goals. And it should, because you're going to spend your life achieving these things. This is this is your destiny. This is what you're working towards. Okay. What do you want to be? What do you want to have spent your energy on by the end of your life? Okay. Obviously in achieving worthy goals. And why not spend all of your energy? I like, and sorry, I'm racing now to get through this, but I like how someone described Mother Teresa's life. I can't remember who it was, but it's always stuck with me. Is that at the end of her life, she was spent. Like she'd had nothing to her name. Like she had no money, nothing. Like she spent everything. And for me, it wasn't. It was just that she held nothing back. She gave it all. And the picture that comes to my mind is at the end of my life, I want to look like a, those. I don't know if you guys do it, but when I get to the end of a toothpaste, I always try to get every last little bit out of that toothpaste. Now I want to. That's what I want to be like at the end of my life. I want it all to have been given, like massive effort, every ounce of energy or creativity or everything I have, I want to apply it. Why not? Okay. Why give anything less than everything? Okay. And that brings us to today's topic. Unlocking your potential, change your thinking. Let's just pause there for a moment and give you an opportunity. Does anyone want to say anything about the previous few weeks, or you have any questions or comments before we get into today's topic? Please speak up, guys. I can't see the screen, so just speak up. You don't have to put up your hand.
Friends, they hit even.
Did anyone want to say something?
No, sir. Everybody seems good.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Thanks. Okay, so guys, I want you to write something down. Okay, think of this question. So see. Okay. If you think of this, what would you do with your life if one, you had no fear? What would you do if you had no fear? Nothing scared you, and you knew you would be successful. Think about that. I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to think about it. Once you have, what I'll do is I'll say, once you have written that down, once you have written that down, just put up your hand. So here's the question again. What would you do with your life, or what would you do in life, however you want to think about it, if you had no fear at all, and you knew if you do it, you would succeed?
Sorry, sir. You're muted.
Sorry. I said that it's really fine if you can't think of something immediately. So, and you can keep it to yourself. This is personal. You're going to write it down. What would you do if you be specific? What is the thing you would do if you had no fear and you knew you wouldn't fail, you would succeed? Okay. If you don't have an answer over the next 3 minutes, that's really fine. This question stayed with me for like 3 days before I had a good answer for myself. But think about that. I'll be back just now.
So you're currently presenting your WhatsApp to the entire class.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you very much. So did you guys, I don't see any hands put up. That's fine. Think about this question. This is a profound question to think about. Okay, so you don't have to share, but do you want to share, Tyler?
No, I'm just showing you that I do have one, sir.
No problem. Okay. Yeah, I don't think I want you guys to share it. I want you to dream huge. And that is what, okay, my screen shared again. That is what today is going to be about. Unlocking your potential. Cool. Change your thinking. Now, again, from a biblical perspective, this is true. This is how we change. Do not be conformed to this world. The whole problem for most people is most people are like most other people. And I like, one of the things I like about working with homeschoolers, which many of you are, is you guys are weird. You really are weird. And I say that as the best compliment, because the reason why most homeschoolers are weird is because they were never taught to fit in, to be like the rest of the people. In school, you're kind of forced to be a way that other people can like you. And and that's the problem. So and that it seems to me is almost the aim of school, is to get everyone to be exactly the same. You sit in the same classes, you wear the same clothes, you do the same subjects, you attempt all to get the same grades so that you can do what? Be different after school. So So that's one of the problems, and that's not what we need. We need, like, every person is a unique individual with unique abilities, that is unfathomably amazing, but we're not helping people discover that. And so the Bible, for example, this is not necessarily the context of this verse, but it is how we are transformed. You need to do not be conformed to this world. Don't try and be like the rest of the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And notice that in this specific verse, and again, I'm sorry, this is not a Bible study, but truth is truth. You need to be transformed by the renewing of your mind so that you may know what is the good, acceptable, and perfect will of God. Again, if you define success as becoming everything that God has made you to be, and obviously it's about knowing what that will for your life is. Like, why has God made me? What is my purpose? If I can discover that, I will be most ideally suited for achieving it if I know in which direction I need to go. And how are you changed? You're changed by transforming your mind, by thinking differently, by thinking above and beyond what you could ever imagine. So I'm going to play, you know what I'm going to do? Because this might not play very well on the screen. I'm going to play you a clip. And I want you to please make notes of this.
I'd like to tell you about the strangest secret in the world. Some years ago, the late Nobel Prize-winning Dr. Albert Schweitzer was being interviewed in London, and a reporter asked him, "Doctor, what's wrong with men today?" And the great doctor was silent a moment, and then he said, "Men simply don't think." It's about this that I want to talk with you. We live today in a golden age. This is an era that man has looked forward to, dreamed of, and worked toward for thousands of years. But since it's here, we pretty well take it for granted. We in America are particularly fortunate to live in the richest land that ever existed on the face of the earth, a land of abundant opportunity for everyone. But do you know what happens? Well, let's take 100 men who start even at the age of 25. Do you have any idea what will happen to those men by the time they're 65? These
Guys, I just want to also say this recording comes from the 1950s, so it's really old, but it's still so relevant and so true. So I just want to give you a bit of context. If some of the things sounds a bit weird or outdated, it's because it's from a radio recording in the 1950s.
100 men who all start even at the age of 25 believe they're going to be successful. If you ask any one of these men if he wanted to be a success, he'd tell you he did. And you'd notice that he was eager toward life, that there was a certain sparkle to his eye, an erectness to his carriage, and life seemed like a pretty interesting adventure to him. But by the time they're 65, 1 will be rich. 4 will be financially independent. 5 will still be working. 54 will be broke. Now think a moment. Out of the 100, only 5 make the grade. Now why do so many fail? What has happened to the sparkle that was there when they were 25? What's become of the dreams, the hopes, the plans? And why is there such a large disparity between what these men intended to do and what they actually accomplished? When we say about 5% achieve success, we have to define success. And here's the best definition I've ever been able to find. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. If a man is working toward a predetermined goal and knows where he's going, that man is a success. If he's not doing that, he's a failure. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Rollo May, the distinguished psychiatrist, wrote a wonderful book called Man's Search for Himself. And in this book he says, the opposite of courage in our society is not cowardice. It is conformity. And there you have the trouble today. It's conformity, people acting like everyone else without knowing why, without knowing where they're going. Now think of it. In America right now, there are over 18 million people 65 years of age and older. And most of them are broke. They're dependent on someone else for life's necessities. Now, we learn to read by the time we're 7. We learn to make a living by the time we're 25. Usually by that time, we're not only making a living, we're supporting a family. And yet by the time we're 65, we haven't learned how to become financially independent in the richest land that has ever been known. Why? We conform. And the trouble is that we're acting like the wrong percentage group, the 95 who don't succeed. Now, why do these people conform? Well, they really don't know. These people believe that their lives are shaped by circumstances, by things that happen to them, by exterior forces. They're outer-directed people. A survey was made one time that covered a lot of men, working men, and these men were asked, why do you work? Why do you get up in the morning? 19 out of 20 had no idea. If you ask them, they'll say, well, everyone goes to work in the morning, and that's the reason they do it, because everyone else is doing it. Now, let's get back to our definition of success. Who succeeds? The only person who succeeds is the person who is progressively realizing a worthy ideal. He's the person who says, I'm going to become this, and then begins to work toward that goal. I'll tell you who the successful people are. A success is the school teacher who's teaching school because that's what he or she wants to do. The success is the woman who's a wife and mother because she wanted to become a wife and mother and is doing a good job of it. The success is the man who runs the corner gas station because that was his dream. That's what he wanted to do. The success is the successful salesman who wants to become a top-notch salesman and grow and build with his organization. A success is anyone who is doing deliberately a predetermined job because that's what he decided to do deliberately. But only 1 out of 20 does that. That's why today there isn't really any competition unless we make it for ourselves. Instead of competing, all we have to do is create. You know, for 20 years, I looked for the key which would determine what would happen to a human being. Was there a key I wanted to know which would make the future a promise that we could foretell to a large extent? Was there a key that would guarantee a person's becoming successful if he only knew about it and knew how to use it? Well, there is such a key, and I've found it. Have you ever wondered why so many men work so hard and honestly without ever achieving anything in particular, and others don't seem to work hard and yet seem to get everything? They seem to have the magic touch. You've heard them say that about someone. Everything he touches turns to gold. And have you ever noticed that a man who becomes successful tends to continue to become successful? And on the other hand, have you noticed how a man who's a failure tends to continue to fail? Well, it's because of goals. Some of us have goals, some don't. People with goals succeed because they know where they're going. It's that simple. Think of a ship leaving a harbor, and think of it with the complete voyage mapped out and planned. The captain and crew know exactly where it's going and how long it'll take. It has a definite goal. Now, 9,999 times out of 10,000, it will get to where it started out to get. Now, let's take another ship, just like the first, only let's not put a crew on it or a captain at the helm. Let's give it no aiming point, no goal, no destination. We just start the engines and let it go. I think you'll agree with me that if it gets out of the harbor at all, it will either sink or wind up on some deserted beach, a derelict. It can't go anyplace because it has no destination and no guidance, and it's the same with a human being. Now let's get back to the strangest secret in the world, the story that I wanted to tell you today. Why do men with goals succeed in life and men without them fail? Well, let me tell you something which, if you really understand it, will alter your life immediately. If you understand completely what I'm going to tell you from this moment on, your life will never be the same again. You will suddenly find that good luck just seems to be attracted to you. The things you want just seem to fall in line, and from now on you won't have the problems, the worries, the gnawing lump of anxiety that perhaps you've experienced before. Doubt, fear, well, they'll be things of the past. Here's the key to success and the key to failure. We become what we think about. Now, let me say that again. We become what we think about. Throughout all history, the great wise men and teachers, philosophers and prophets have disagreed with one another on many different things. It's only on this one point that they are in complete and unanimous agreement. Listen to what Marcus Aurelius, the great Roman emperor, said. A man's life is what his thoughts make of it. Disraeli said this. Everything comes if a man will only wait. I've brought myself by long meditation to the conviction that a human being with a settled purpose must accomplish it, and that nothing can resist a will that will stake even existence for its fulfillment. Ralph Waldo Emerson said this, "A man is what he thinks about all day long." William James said, "The greatest discovery of my generation is that human beings can alter their lives by altering their attitudes of mind." And he also said, "We need only in cold blood act as if the thing in question were real, and it will become infallibly real by growing into such a connection with our life that it will become real. It will become so knit with habit and emotion that our interest in it will be those which characterize belief." And he also said, "If you only care enough for a result, you will almost certainly attain it. If you wish to be rich, you will be rich. If you wish to be learned, you will be learned. If you wish to be good, you will be good. Only you must then really wish these things, and wish them exclusively, and not wish at the same time 100 other incompatible things just as strongly." In the Bible, you read in Mark 9:23, "If thou canst believe, all things are possible to him that believeth." My old friend Dr. Norman Vincent Peale put it this way, "This is one of the greatest laws in the universe. Fervently do I wish I had discovered it as a very young man. It dawned upon me much later in life, and I found it to be one of the greatest, if not my greatest discovery outside of my relationship to God. The great law, briefly and simply stated, is that if you think in negative terms, you will get negative results. If you think in positive terms, you will achieve positive results. That is the simple fact," he went on to say, "which is at the basis of an astonishing law of prosperity and success. In 3 words, believe and succeed." William Shakespeare put it this way, "Our doubts are traitors and make us lose the good we oft might win by fearing to attempt." George Bernard Shaw said, "People are always blaming their circumstances for what they are. I don't believe in circumstances. The people who get on in this world are the people who get up and look for the circumstances they want, and if they can't find them, make them." Well, it's pretty apparent, isn't it? And every person who discovered this for a while believed that he was the first one to work it out. We become what we think about. Now, it stands to reason that a person who's thinking about a concrete and worthwhile goal is going to reach it, because that's what he's thinking about, and we become what we think about. Conversely, the man who has no goal, who doesn't know where he's going, and whose thoughts must therefore be thoughts of confusion and anxiety and fear and worry, becomes what he thinks about. His life becomes one of frustration and fear and anxiety and worry. And if he thinks about nothing, he becomes nothing. Now, how does it work? Why do we become what we think about? Well, I'll tell you how it works as far as we know. Now, to do this, I want to tell you about a situation that parallels the human mind. Suppose a farmer has some land, and it's good fertile land. Now, the land gives the farmer a choice. He may plant in that land whatever he chooses. The land doesn't care. It's up to the farmer to make the decision. Now, remember, we're comparing the human mind with the land because the mind, like the land, doesn't care what you plant in it. It will return what you plant, but it doesn't care what you plant. Now, let's say that the farmer has 2 seeds in his hand. One is a seed of corn. The other is nightshade, a deadly poison. He digs 2 little holes in the earth, and he plants both seeds, one corn, the other nightshade. He covers up the holes, waters, and takes care of the land, and what will happen? Invariably, the land will return what's planted. As it's written in the Bible, as ye sow, so shall ye reap. Now remember, the land doesn't care. It'll return poison in just as wonderful abundance as it will corn. So up come the 2 plants, one corn, one poison. Now, the human mind is far more fertile, far more incredible and mysterious than the land, but it works the same way. It doesn't care what we plant. Success, failure. A concrete, worthwhile goal, or confusion. Misunderstanding, fear, anxiety, and so on. But what we plant, it must return to us. You see, the human mind is the last great unexplored continent on Earth. It contains riches beyond our wildest dreams. It will return anything we want to plant. Now, you might say, well, if that's true, why don't people use their minds more? Well, I think they figured out an answer to that one, too. Our mind comes as standard equipment at birth. It's free, and things that are given to us for nothing we place little value on. Things that we pay money for, we value. The paradox is that exactly the reverse is true. Everything that's really worthwhile in life came to us free. Our minds, our souls, our bodies, our hopes, our dreams, our ambitions, our intelligence, our love of family and children and friends and country, all these priceless possessions free. But the things that cost us money are actually very cheap and can be replaced at any time. A good man can be completely wiped out and make another fortune. He can do that several times. Even if our home burns down, we can rebuild it. But the things we got for nothing, we can never replace. The human mind isn't used because we take it for granted. Familiarity breeds contempt. It can do any kind of job we assign to it, but generally speaking, we use it for little jobs instead of big, important ones. Universities have proved that most of us are operating on about 10% or less of our abilities. So decide now, what is it you want? Plant your goal in your mind. It's the most important decision you'll ever make in your entire life. What is it you want? Do you want to be an outstanding salesman? A better worker at your particular job? Do you want to go places in your company? In your community? Do you want to get rich? All you've got to do is plant that seed in your mind, care for it, work steadily toward your goal, and it will become a reality. It not only will, there's no way that it cannot. You see, that's a law, like the laws of Sir Isaac Newton, the laws of gravity. If you get on top of a building and jump off, you'll always go down. You'll never go up, and it's the same with all the other laws of nature. They always work. They're inflexible. Think about your goal in a relaxed, positive way. Picture yourself in your mind's eye as having already achieved this goal. See yourself doing the things you will be doing when you've reached your goal. Ours has been called the phenobarbital age, the age of ulcers and nervous breakdowns and tranquilizers. At a time when medical research has raised us to a new plateau of good health and longevity, far too many of us worry ourselves into an early grave trying to cope with things in our own little personal ways without learning a few great laws that will take care of everything for us. These things we bring on ourselves through our habitual way of thinking. Every one of us is the sum total of his own thoughts. He is where he is because that's exactly where he really wants to be, whether he'll admit that or not. Each of us must live off the fruit of his thoughts in the future, because what you think today and tomorrow, next month and next year, will mold your life and determine your future. You're guided by your mind. I remember one time I was driving through eastern Arizona, and I saw one of those giant earth-moving machines roaring along the road at about 35 miles an hour with what looked like 30 tons of dirt in it. A tremendous, incredible machine. And there was a little man perched way up on top with the wheel in his hands guiding it. And as I drove along, I was struck by the similarity of that machine to the human mind. Just suppose you're sitting at the controls of such a vast source of energy. Are you going to sit back and fold your arms and let it run itself into a ditch? Or are you going to keep both hands firmly on the wheel and control and direct this power to a specific, worthwhile purpose? It's up to you. You're in the driver's seat. You see, the very law that gives us success is a two-edged sword. We must control our thinking. The same rule that can lead a man to a life of success, wealth, happiness, and all the things he ever dreamed of for himself and his family. That very same law can lead him into the gutter. It's all in how he uses it, for good or for bad. This is the strangest secret in the world.
Excellent. Okay. Yeah, that is I've watched this probably 10 times already. It's really a brilliant video. Okay, let's move on. Okay, you tell me, someone tells me, what is the strangest secret? What is the point that the main point that this guy made and that fits into our topic today? Please speak up.
Okay, we become what we think about, which is really simple. So it's really nice.
It is, Nate. We become what we think about. Excellent. How does that fit into what we've been doing so far? How does that connect with our previous sessions? How do we apply it? Hannah, how do we apply it?
So we've like currently discussed about the topic change your thinking,
Mm-hmm.
and how it relates to we become what we think. And we've also written down all our future life goals that we would like to achieve, and that we should have positive life goals so that we can achieve positive goals for our future and be successful.
Exactly. So that is why we've been going through. So this, guys, is really, again, there's a few things that, like, I've really read so many books now in preparation for these lessons and or these sessions, and I can already tell you they are life-changing. But the two most important things that I have taken from these books, first one is to write down your goals, and the second thing is that you become what you most think about. And they work perfectly together, because if I work on my goals, if daily I write down my goals, if daily I think about my goals, that's what I think about. Now, again, your goals could be shallow. I mean, it could just be, I want to be a billionaire. Okay, well, that's fine. That's your goals. That's what you're going to pursue, and that's what you will become. I'm hoping that it would be worthy ideals that would outlive you, and that you would become everything that God has intended you to be, which, well, might include being a billionaire, but that's maybe not what it is about. And so, yeah, so let me continue with, can you guys see my screen? Just say yes or no. Can you see what?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yes.
So here's where our thinking needs to change. There's two of the most important things where your thinking must change. The first thing is you must stop limiting yourself. That's one of the biggest problems. And for now, you guys are fine. You're 25, not yet 25, like like you said. At age 25, most people are still excited about life. But then life actually happens. Then they start actually earning their own salary. Then they start actually getting into some financial challenges. Like, pretty soon life happens to you, and you give up on your incredible dreams. Okay, so for most of you, you still have that sparkle that he was talking about. But even with that considered, you are still limiting yourself. You are still, so one of the books I read is called the 10x principle. And his big point is that every effort, all the effort you think you're going to need to achieve your goals, multiplied by 10. Okay, it's going to be much harder work than you ever imagined, okay, to achieve your goals. But the second thing is also true. So the first thing is we always underestimate our ability. The second thing, almost always underestimate the effort. The second thing, we always underestimate our abilities. And in his motivation is multiply all your goals by 10. So I want you to go and look. I don't know if I asked you to do that, but those 10 goals that you decided to write down last week, if any of those goals have a number, multiply that number by 10. Okay, like, go far beyond what you ever imagined you are capable of. That is one way in which to overcome your limitation of your ability. So that's the first problem, is you have unlimited potential. Like, why not? Especially if you believe that you were created by God. Like, you've got the sovereign of the universe that has a destiny for you. Like, there's nothing that you can imagine that you cannot accomplish. So that's the first thing, is just stop limiting yourself in any way. Whatever you are pursue 10 times bigger dreams than you can possibly imagine. The second thing is the idea of personal responsibility. One of our biggest problems as humans is we always blame other people. Like, when something doesn't go right, like, I'm responsible for something at church, and yesterday I messed up. I forgot about it. And I kept trying to see whose fault is it. It was everyone else's fault except mine. So in the end, when I realized, shucks, Peter, there you go, you do it again. All of us do it all the time. It's the first problem. And for those of you that know the Bible stories, after the fall, after Adam ate the fruit that God said he shouldn't eat, and God confronted him, yeah, it's the wife you gave me. She made me. The wife blames the blames the snake. It's a lack of taking responsibility for ourselves. And so immediately, for example, yesterday, I realized, okay, when I realized it was my mistake, it was my responsibility, now I had a solution. Now I realized, okay, to avoid this happening in the future, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and this. So now I made a plan. Now, as long as you are outsourcing the responsibility, there's nothing you can do about it. As long as you say it's other people's fault, or then there's nothing you can do about it. You're just a victim. But the moment you take personal responsibility of everything in your life, absolutely everything, no one is responsible for you to get good marks. No one is responsible for you to be a success in life. Like, it is your life. Okay. You are going to give an answer to whoever's going to ask in the end. Okay. So these are the two major things that your mind has to change: is take responsibility. One good example that I can just ask you: is your bed made? You slept in it. Okay. Who's responsible for making your bed? Like, just take responsibility for the simplest things in your life and everything else as well. And don't blame other people for failures. Take personal responsibility for everything. Okay. Those are the two major things to control in your life: is knowing what you're able for, taking responsibility. Yes. Someone's hands up. Guys, I can't see the screen. So if you want to say something, just speak up. Okay, maybe it's not. Okay, cool. So here is the major thing of this topic is the law of belief. You become what you think about most of the time. That's a law. And I think it's actually quite self-evident that obviously what I am is a result of what I've been putting into my mind the whole time. Like, what I'm sharing with you guys is all the things that have come into my mind and that I'm living out, come into my mind. So the things I think about is the things that flow out. I have a hose pipe, and in that hose pipe, I pour in, I want orange juice to come out on the one side. What I need to put in is orange juice. So if I keep having negative thoughts, negative beliefs, negative expectations, what is going to come out? Okay. Obviously, things that are negative things are going to come out. But if what I put in is positive, it's upbuilding, it's exciting, it's creative, what is going to come out? Those are the things that's going to come out. So in order to then move on from here, I want you to now write down for me 5 empowering beliefs that you have about yourself. So I'll check the time again. 5 empower. I'm going to give you 5 minutes for this, and 5 limiting beliefs you have about yourself. So an empowering belief could be something like, I am a creative person. One of the We were talking about habits one day. I'm going to put you on the spot here, Hannah. And Hannah told me, I am an organized person. Like, it is something she believed about herself, and everything in her life is affected by this one thing that she believes about herself. That's an empowering belief. An example of an empowering belief: it empowers you, it makes you better. But then all of you also have limiting beliefs, things that you believe that is about yourself, but that limits you. So, for example, one good example I think of is, I'm an unlucky person. Like, I have bad luck. That's an example of a limiting. Another, there's many. I'm not going to give the examples, but if you have questions, you can ask. Take about 5 minutes and write down 5 empowering beliefs about yourself and 5 limiting beliefs about yourself.
Sorry, sir. For the limited beliefs, can it also be something that's just like a negative trait you would have? I don't know how to explain
Yes.
without.
Yeah, but it must be something you believe about yourself.
Mm.
So it could be a negative trait, as long as it's something that you believe is true about you, but it limits you in some way.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
About 1 more minute left. It's okay if you don't have all 5. We'll give you more chance to think about it. Okay. Good. Okay, guys, if you didn't write 5, the limiting beliefs are the important ones, because those are the ones that are robbing you of your potential, robbing you of things that you can achieve in life, because sometimes they are just false. Sometimes they limit you so much because that's all you think about. The moment you want to attempt something, that's the belief that comes up, and so it robs you of opportunity. So we're going to look at those limiting beliefs, and I'm going to ask you guys to give me an extra 5 to 10 minutes if you can, so that we can finish this exercise. And it might not even be enough. So you are going to have to do this kind of as, I won't say homework, guys, this is life work. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to try and change your limiting beliefs. Okay, so you've done this now. What we're going to do now is learn how to reframe our limiting beliefs. So there are certain things about you that you believe about yourself, and these things need to change. They must change. Every limiting belief is robbing you from your potential. So you should make it a regular exercise to identify things about yourself that you believe that is limiting yourself and changing that belief. Why would you allow such a a destructive thought to have any rental space in your mind when it's actually robbing you in your life. So what we're going to do is I'm going to divide you into groups of about 3 people each. And in that, of your limiting beliefs, identify the worst one, or the one that you are most comfortable to share with the rest of the group. And we are going to help each other to reframe our beliefs. Okay, to think new, to have a new way of looking at it. And let me do a few examples with you guys. So for example, one limiting belief you might have is you might have experienced all throughout your life that you always fail. Everything you ever attempt, you always fail at everything. So obviously, if you believe I always fail at everything, you are going to stop attempting stuff because you're never successful. So that is an example of a limiting belief. I always fail at everything. Now, what we mean by limiting belief is not necessarily that it's not true. Like, I was doing this with our teachers one day, and some of them, one of their limiting beliefs is, I'm too old to accomplish anything still in my life. Now, that is true. I'm old. Not me, but some of the teachers. Okay. It might be true that they are old, but it's not necessarily true that that means that you can't still achieve great things in your life. Okay, so a limiting belief doesn't mean it's not necessarily true, or it's not necessarily your experience in life. But remember, that is what's going to manifest in your life. So if you always fail at everything, if that's what you believe, you will always fail at everything because that's what you expect. So they become self-fulfilling prophecies. So you can reframe something like that into something like every setback is an opportunity to learn and to grow. And so what you do with this mindset, with this limiting belief, is you actually redefine a failure as an opportunity to learn. So now you can never fail, because every time you fail, you actually just use that failure as an opportunity to learn what didn't work or what needs to change. Or so every setback is an opportunity to learn and grow. That is a new way of thinking. So next time you fail, instead of saying, of course I failed because every time I fail, you rather say, no, this is an opportunity for me to learn and to grow. I love this one specifically because I fail a lot. Okay. Limiting beliefs. I'm just not lucky. I love this one. Like, it's so common. I've confronted 2 people already in the last month where they say stuff like, with my luck, this and this is going to happen. How many of you say things like that? With my luck, yeah, finish that sentence. Okay. Now that is a limiting belief. Like, you believe that you have some sort of different luck than the rest of us. Like, that's ridiculous. It's stupid. It's foolish. Okay. Why? Because when you roll a dice, the chances that you get a 6 and that I get a 6 is the same. Like, there's no such thing as one person is more lucky than another person. Okay. So again, guys, I don't know if you guys are saying stuff. Just speak up if you want to say something. You're more than welcome to interrupt me. Okay. A reframing of this is, I create my own opportunities through hard work and perseverance. Like, luck is simply where opportunity meets preparation. So the more hard and the more work you put in, when the opportunity presents itself, you're ready for it. Okay, so there's no such thing as luck. It's just people that prepare to get lucky. Okay, so that's an example of a reframing. I create my own opportunities through hard work and perseverance. Okay, do you see how in this example, you are taking responsibility? If you say, I'm not lucky, then there's some force out there that's against you. A reframe is, no, I take responsibility. I create my own opportunities, and I do it through hard work and perseverance. There's another limiting belief. I can't say no to. Okay. Maybe you, like me, love coffee way much more than you should, or chocolate, or sweets, or bread. Bread is a big one for me. I love bread. Freshly baked sourdough bread. Okay. so maybe you're someone that struggles with your weight or struggles with your health, okay, and you believe, I just can't say no to this. Now, I used to believe, because I used to do drugs and drink and do all kinds of things. I used to say, I have an addictive personality. I used to say that about me. No wonder I was doing all these things, is because I believed I had an addictive personality. Okay, so in these things, like, sorry, that's the wrong verse. I wanted to use that one somewhere else. One of the things, if you are, what's very helpful, if you're a believer, if you believe in God and you believe in the Bible, that it is true, then what is amazing is that when you reframe, you can actually use what God says about you as the truth, as a reframe. So this verse is just at the wrong place. It shouldn't be here. For example, it's with this, I'm not lucky. Instead of thinking that I'm not lucky, there's verses that say God will bless you if you're righteous. He will surround your favor as with a shield. So in other words, I have God's favor. I'm actually lucky because I have God's favor over my life, because I believe in him, because I follow him, because I obey him. Okay, so that's a reframing. That's just the wrong one. But here's I can't say no to. A way in which you can reframe that would be saying something like, no thing can have a mastery over me. I'm the master of my own desires, and I control my own we call it appetite. Okay, so yeah, you can say no to things. You believe you can't say no to things, so that every time it's presented to you, you don't say no. Okay, good. Guys, let me see if I can break you up into groups, and time is really running away with me. If you have to go, I will understand. I see the room. Let me just see if I still have everyone. Okay, join the breakout room, and in the breakout room, before you go, in the breakout room, you can start. Someone that has the confidence, just start by sharing what is one of your limiting beliefs, and then once you've shared your limiting belief, then just let the rest of you help to reframe that limiting belief into a positive, empowering belief. Okay, you can join now. Did you get your invitation, Karina?
Okay, now what? Hello. I'm the only one here. Is anyone coming to get me? This thing is still being recorded. Taylor, come back. So now do I just wait? So is it me being recorded or is it the breakout rooms being recorded? Because if it's me, then this is really awkward. There's supposed to be a button that says join the breakout room, but it's not there. So well, this sucks. Hey, Sharon.
Is this who we have left? There we go. Welcome back, everybody. Okay, I just want to show you guys, just as a last thing, how you can actually get your limiting belief, if you need some help to change a limiting belief into a positive one. I just use ChatGPT. It's really effective. So I don't know if you know about ChatGPT. I hope you guys know about it and you're not using it for all of your schoolwork. Although it wouldn't be a bad thing to learn how to use it. I use it every single day. So might as well learn how to use it at school. No? Cool. Give me a limiting belief. Who of you have a limiting belief you don't have a nice answer for yet? Tyler.
One limiting belief that I have is I'm not very good at languages, so like I kind of don't really I can't language properly.
Okay. So I now have a bunch of questions I've already asked itself. So I've talked it a little bit on what exactly it is that I'm looking for. So now I can just ask it, and I'm not going to do a training. We can do that some other day if you want to learn how to use ChatGPT. But okay, please give me an empowering belief to replace I am not good with languages. Okay, so here's a few ways. This is kind of the one. I don't know if it's a good one or if it's helpful, but for example, there is I'm fully capable of learning new languages. With dedication, practice, and the right resources, I can improve my language skills and achieve fluency. So that is actually just changing that negative one into an absolutely positive one. So in other words, because yes, language is a specific part of your brain, and you might be better at a different part. So usually, language I think sits in the right side of your brain. That's more with your language center, where you are maybe stronger in the left side of your brain, where you function mathematically. But the truth of the matter is, these like every aspect of your mind can be improved. Absolutely every aspect of your mind. It's just not where you are exercised in. So obviously, once you start believing that you can actually do anything, you can learn any language, you obviously just don't know how. Okay. So obviously what is needed is the right resources, it's practice, and it is enough motivation. If you have enough motivation to actually learn a new language or to become better at a specific, like you might be talking about, you don't do well in English, etc. Yeah, it might be that. But my time is up long ago, so let me not keep you guys, but go and play a little bit with ChatGPT with some of your limiting beliefs, or speak to people that can help you to. So, and what's nice about GPT is you can actually engage with it a little bit. You can chat with it a little bit about that thing and just say, but yeah, I don't know if that's really helpful, or if I am able, what suggestions are there to improve? How can I improve my my desire to improve? What resources are good? So you can actually have a nice conversation there. If you guys are allowed to use AI, maybe your parents don't trust it, but yeah, it's a useful tool for those of you that have access to it. Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye. Keep
Kirina,
well.
are you waving or asking? Cheers, Ricardo. Hi, Tyler.
Rest of your day.
Kirina, did you have a question or a comment? You're muted if you didn't know. There we go. Okay.
Bye, sir.
Bye, guys. Bye, Danielle.